Happy Halloween, everyone! So, I have talked a lot about Bunnicula on this channel, but I've never done a full review of it, which is kind of surprising, actually. I was a little surprised when I realized that. But anyway, so this is one that, I've heard about for years. I used to work at a library when I was younger, and I saw it there a lot, but I didn't really know anything about it until, I don't know, basically spring of this year. When I heard a bit of a review of it online and went, oh, that actually sounds kind of good. So I decided to pick it up and read it. And it was way better than I was anticipating. It's one of those books that is very deceptive when you look at the cover. It looks so creepy and weird when you just look at it. But then once you read the book, it's like, oh, it makes perfect sense. But the impression you initially got is still wrong. At least that's how I felt with this book. Because the thing about this book, I alluded to this yesterday, but James and Deborah Howe, the authors of this book, they were big fans of horror movies, classic movies, horror movies in particular, I believe, which you can really see in the way this book is laid out, because there's a lot of moments where you can tell they're kind of playing into the tropes, but also kind of poking fun at them a little bit, and it works really, really well. Even just, I showed this picture very quickly yesterday, but I just want to show it again. The way this is drawn, it reminds me of a classic Gothic novel from, the 1800s. And it looks so horrifying, but really all that's happening here is they're just coming home for the day from something. And I love how smudged the drawings are because it works really, really well with that feel. And that's very, very accurate to the whole style of the Bunnicula books, because even the character, he never talks. And when we do see him, in the daytime he's always asleep and he's just this cute bunny. At night he's very subdued, until he gets up to feed, and then he kind of awakens. But even then, it's like he looks scary, but he's just going after vegetables. And by the way, none of this is really, I wouldn't say any of that is a spoiler, because half the fun of this book is just seeing how the characters react to what's happening, not so much what's actually happening. And so just to take a step back for a second, the narrator of this book is Harold the dog. And the other character who we see the most is Chester the cat. So those two are essentially our main characters for both this book and the entire Bunnicula series. And their dynamic is Harold is, generally speaking, the more grounded of the two. He's got a bit more understanding of kind of how the situation actually is, and he is actually, at least in the canon of the books, the writer of this story. Of course not in real life, but in the book he is. And if you, there's an editor's note at the beginning that is supposedly by the editor who received this manuscript from this dog. And there's a letter enclosed that's from Harold. And it's signed as Harold X because he doesn't want to use his real last name to protect his family. And then Chester, on the other hand, is highly, highly intelligent, much more, I would say, a leader than Harold, or at least he's better at making Harold listen to him than Harold is making Chester listen to him, which is not the same thing as good leadership skills, but, you know. We see some things in the later books that kind of imply he has some leadership abilities too, so yeah. But anyway, and the thing about Chester is he has a very vivid imagination, and he reads a lot, because yes, they both can read, Chester and Harold, but Chester reads every single night constantly. He read Treasure Island when he was a kitten. We know he's read The Mark of the Vampire. He reads a lot, all the time. And as a result of this, combined with his overactive imagination and slight paranoid tendencies, he takes one look at Bunnicula and immediately starts to go, something's weird with this. In some ways this does serve him well, because not all of his assertions are wrong, but he does take things too far. But that's half the fun with Chester, is just he plays so well off of Harold, and he has such interesting views on everything, and especially in the next book as well, Holiday Inn, you see some moments that are quite amusing with him. This is an example of something that Chester does in this book. What he's trying to do here is convince his family that Bunnicula is a vampire, but unfortunately they can't understand him, and that's what he's trying to do there. I also really like this picture, because the thing that has the most focus in this picture is Bunnicula, I would say, which that is quite true, I would say, of this character, because he doesn't talk much. He's not really even in most of the scenes, but he just grabs your attention. In a way, Bunnicula actually reminds me a little bit of Sherlock Holmes in The Hound of the Baskervilles, because he's a character that is very important, but you don't actually see him very much, despite the fact that he's, I would say, the most known character from it, for obvious reasons. But it is different, of course, because Bunnicula is not actually the protagonist, I would say. That would probably be Harold. So one thing I forgot to mention, there's actually direct parallels between Bunnicula Strikes Again and The Final Problem, which is, of course, one of the Sherlock Holmes books. Anyway, I would totally recommend this book. It's a lot of fun. There's also 6 sequels in the series, and there is also, I believe, at least one book that's written that's not technically in the series, but it's in the same universe. It's written by a different character than Harold, but I haven't read that one yet, but I don't know, it sounds fun. Of the sequels, I didn't enjoy all of them, but I did enjoy Book 2, Holiday Inn. Bunnicula Meets Edgar Allan Poe was kind of sweet. Bunnicula Strikes Again I actually really enjoyed too. So yeah, it's a good series. The first book is amazing, and I would recommend reading the sequels as well, just because it's fun to see where these characters go, and there are a few new characters that are introduced in the later books that are really nice. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. Have a fantastic Halloween and a wonderful year. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Sorry, really cute picture of Bunnicula. Oh my goodness, but I can't give that away without spoilers.